it's time for Tammy's Take here on the Crown City Network. Tammy's Take is the crossroads of politics and pop culture. I'm Tammy Devine. This is my take. Take it or leave it. I hope you'll take it to heart. Well, as you already know, it is election season, and it's been a weird one. The first presidential debate has come and gone, as has the VP debate. Up next is the second presidential debate. Of course, each side said they won, but I'm about to tell you the truth about who actually won and who lost in the previous debates. Finally, we'll talk a little Hurricane Matthew and whether climate change had anything to do with the devastation that that storm has caused. With me to talk about all this is Andrew Mark Miller, writer and radio talk show host. Hi, Andrew.
How are you? Good to be back.
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. You know, you and I were like the dynamic duo on Tammy's Take when we were doing that on radio. I'm really bummed that you're not, doing your radio thing after I had to kind of step back a little bit. But I'm looking forward to hearing what you have in store. What do you have in store?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm doing something else now. I'm starting a podcast, and I'm still at youngcons.com and ComDigiNews and my website. So still doing a bunch of stuff.
Okay, good. Remind me, and we'll plug all of that again towards the end of the show, okay?
Definitely.
Okay, good. So let's get into, first of all, the presidential debate between Trump and Clinton that took place. It was fun to watch. I didn't see all of it. I listened to a lot of it on the radio, Andrew, but what did you think overall of it, and who won, who lost, in your opinion?
Yeah, first 30 to 45 minutes, I thought Donald Trump was really in control, right? And Hillary's record on a lot of issues is pretty indefensible. So he was in a good spot. He was hammering her on issues like trade and her tenure as Secretary of State, where she really didn't have a lot of answers. But about 45 minutes in, you could tell that she was starting to get under her skin. She made a couple comments that you could tell he was flustered. She started laughing a little bit and kind of smirking at him, and you could tell that it was really bothering him. And towards the end of the debate, I thought Hillary really took charge and kind of made him look flustered and put him on the defensive. And as you saw afterwards, as they often do, most of the pundits said that Trump lost. You have to keep in mind that they wanted him to lose, right?
Yeah.
So they were.
Well, I mean, there were a whole bunch of circumstances, right, that were a little bit strange.
Right.
Like, first of all, they're talking about a cleaner for Hillary. Have you read those stories where like this guy apparently came in with the scripts for Hillary or something?
Yeah, no,
scripts?
No, I've seen that too, where they took her notes and they put them right up. Somebody came up and gave them to Lester Holt.
Yeah, at the end.
Yeah,
and you know what? There's a video that shows that same guy standing there talking to Hillary right when she got out of the Scooby-Doo van or whatever they call that, and she was headed into the debate. It was the same guy.
Yeah.
Like they were like talking, and then it was kind of weird because at the end, the guy like picked up the notes real fast, and then you see him like walking towards Lester Holt, and like Holt kind of rebuffs him a little and keeps going or something like that. So there's lots of conspiracy theories out there that she had the notes way ahead of time. She had the questions ahead of time.
They need to just have a situation where they keep the candidate standing there for 5 minutes until they go off camera or something. Because you see this at every debate. There's always some kind of conspiracy theory. With George Bush, I remember they thought he had a bump on, under his suit where they thought he was, recording something or
and like an earpiece.
Yeah,
but the earpiece allegations.
After the last forum, people were saying that Hillary had an earpiece. So it seems like there's always conspiracy theories like that. So they need to come up with a solution to kind of quell that.
But then it was not a conspiracy theory that Donald Trump's microphone was messed up.
Right.
That everybody thought it was a conspiracy theory at first.
So after the debate, Donald Trump was complaining about his microphone, and the media was kind of, poo-pooing it, saying, yeah, whatever, he's complaining. And then a few days later, the debate commission comes out and says, yeah, there was a problem with his microphone.
And he's like, aha! Yeah. See, there was. But I think we on TV or radio didn't hear it as much.
So the people in the hall could tell and hear it, but the people on TV allegedly weren't able to tell.
Yeah. So ultimately, you think Hillary won that debate?
Yeah, I think Hillary won. It was closer than I think a lot of people are acting. Immediately everyone's like, oh, Trump got killed. I don't think he got killed. If you handle yourself the first half of the debate, you can't really say that if you won the first half, you can't really say you got killed. Right. But ultimately, I think that most people came away saying that Hillary won the debate only because Donald Trump got rattled and she didn't. And that's his thing. If he can stop from letting things get under his skin,
And getting distracted
Yeah.
by, because
Exactly.
I mean, it was very clear to me in both the presidential debate and the vice presidential debate that the Democrats had a set strategy.
You could tell.
Yeah, for the presidential debate, Hillary's strategy, and this is just my opinion. This is Tammy's sake. Take it or leave it. My opinion is that their strategy was to just let him talk, and if they just let him talk, he would talk himself into holes, into problems. And I don't think she didn't really cut him off or interrupt him too much. And I think that's exactly what happened. I think he talked himself to death and got in trouble.
And on top of that, she threw in that Miss Universe thing at the end, right? So she throws that in. It clearly riled him. He was clearly frustrated by that. And right towards the end, and the debate ends. So that's kind of what you remember. And the next week of the news cycle, that dominated the news cycle.
Which I think has totally backfired on them, though, after time has played itself out, because she's confessed to being an accessory to murder.
Yeah.
She has, there's a sex tape of her out there.
But the only problem is that your average voter probably didn't necessarily see that story, right? We saw that story. The mainstream media didn't cover that story, so I don't know how many swing state voters actually heard about all the
backstory.
They just watch the debate, then they tune out, and then they're not paying attention.
But
until the next one.
but see, that's the problem I think with us,
Right.
in America and the elections and all of that, is that the left watches and listens to the left, and the right watches and listens to the right. And, I don't do that, okay? I look at all the stories, both on the left and the right, because I want to know what everybody is thinking, and all of that. So I've seen those stories. And now there's a story out there about Alicia Machado, Miss Universe. Now she's saying, I will not talk about Donald Trump anymore.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know if she anticipated the backfire. She got a lot of backfire, a lot of attention. And I don't know if she liked
unwanted attention.
I don't know if she liked, all the press attention that came from that.
Yeah. And so, you have to be careful, because whatever strategy you have out there could ultimately, you never see the unintended consequences. And I think ultimately we saw that with the Miss Universe thing against Clinton. So my take is that Hillary Clinton did win the first debate. Okay. I think it took a lot of spin to make Donald Trump, and everybody knows, I'm a conservative, I'm a Trump supporter. I don't hide that at all. But I think it was pretty clear that Hillary won that debate, and I think it took a lot of spin to make it seem like it was a draw. I think to a lot of people it was like a draw, and also there are a bunch of websites when you go to see the voting that Trump has won. Trump won on all the online polls, right?
Yeah, almost every online poll had him winning, and they were touting those polls. They're unscientific, but they do matter. I think.
I think they matter too.
It's still people.
Yeah, and then he didn't drop in the polls, and I think that's why people thought it was a draw, because she won the debate, but he got like +1, +3, +4 in a lot of polls.
Yeah, there's so many different polls. It's kind of hard to tell. In some states he did take a hit, in some states he held on, so it's kind of hard to tell.
But yeah, when some of the major polls still have him up, it's mind blowing. Actually, I
mean, yesterday he was still up Rasmussen by 2 nationally. So,
and Rasmussen had him down by like 4 or something like that the week before. So let's move on to the vice president. I think that the strategy for the vice presidential debate was because I think they felt that Mike Pence was actually a better debater and a better talker, and that he would get all of his viewpoints out, and it would make a difference to the Americans, society at large, listening, who maybe didn't know that much about him or didn't know much about the policy issues and that kind of thing. So I think their strategy was clearly to interrupt him so that he did not get his message out. And Tim Kaine was the attack dog who did that, but I think that backfired on him as well.
Yeah, Pence did a great job, and you can tell by the fact that everybody was talking about how Pence wants to be president in 2020.
They started presidential talk
after that debate. And I think you did a good job when people are saying, you should probably run for president in 2020. I think a few months ago when Donald Trump was thinking about picking his vice president, his campaign said that he views himself more as the chairman and that his vice president was going to be his CEO. Oh. And I think if you looked at Pence's performance that night, you could see that, right?
Wow.
Pence looked like a CEO, somebody who knew policy, somebody who could articulate different positions, and then, you know, Donald Trump is the chairman, right? He has the ultimate say, and you report to him at the end of the day.
But Pence was cool,
He was.
calm, collected.
He was.
And you know, they tried to trap him.
They tried to rattle him many times. And the thing about Kane's strategy was basically he's going to throw everything against the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
Right? So he was interrupting, he was just talking the entire time, he was throwing out insults, throwing out.
Even his own party is saying, you know, stop interrupting. There was a video out there that showed him interrupting like 72 times.
72 times. He was interrupting
the
the moderator, he was interrupting Pence. He just, you know, he was just throwing things against the wall, and some people thought that it worked and some people thought that it didn't. And even his own wife the next day, he said, even his own wife said that he interrupted 20
really?
times. Yeah.
I didn't hear that story.
Yeah, he said he got in a little bit of trouble from his wife too. So, but I think that was, you know, that was the game plan. You know, I don't think it was a mistake. You know, that was a calculated move. Yeah.
Yeah, and but I mean, there was a very clear contrast, I think, between the right and the left that day, and Mike Pence and Tim Kaine that day. I'm, you know, partial to Pence. He's more conservative, and I, you know, I'm pretty conservative. I'm very conservative, I should say. And so the policy issues and the different stances that he took resonated with me. Listening to Tim Kaine, it was very clear that it was two completely different sides of the coin, you know? I mean, Hillary and Tim Kaine talk about raising taxes, but the thing about it is that you know, they were saying that the Pence and Trump plan economically was going to cost the country trillions of dollars, and their plan was going to save the country trillions of dollars because by raising taxes. And everybody knows that people on the right just do not agree with that whatsoever. You raise taxes, you lose revenue, actually.
Right, and it's disingenuous because when they say that, when they talk about adding to the debt, adding to the deficit, when you cut taxes, what they're completely leaving out is the growth that's expected when you do that, right? When you have growth, when you have more jobs, that means more tax revenue. So you make up the money in other places. So to just say that, you know, cutting taxes to add to the deficit is completely leaving out the fact that you're anticipating, you know, 3%, 4% growth.
And complete difference on immigration as well, you know?
Absolutely.
The right keeps talking about Hillary and Kaine wanting open borders and things like that. Now, I don't know that any of them have ever said anything like that, you know? But ultimately, at the end of the day, I mean, it looks like that's what they're advocating.
Right. I mean, they don't say that they want open borders, but, you know, when they talk about comprehensive immigration reform, that's the term they use. When they don't focus on the border, when they, you know, you can tell by the things they talk about and don't focus on and focus on that, you know, tightening up immigration isn't something that, you know, is a priority of theirs, and I think that's where Pence is coming from.
Okay, so how much time do we have, Joseph? 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Okay, good. Let's talk a little bit. What?
So that flew by.
I know, it flies by really fast. Let's talk a little bit about Hurricane Matthew.
Right.
I should say. I think we're. I'm watching Jordan there trying to fix a problem. That's funny. Thank you, Jordan. Is it on me over here now? Okay. Good. So Hurricane Matthew. You know, we hear President Obama, people on the left, it's all about climate change, climate change, climate change. And they're talking about the Hurricane Matthew maybe being a product of climate change as well. I think I saw you roll your eyes just a little bit to the back of your head there as I was saying that. What say you?
You know, there hasn't been a major hurricane in Florida in 11 years. Right? So if climate change is in fact the culprit and the last few years have been out of control, you know, by their own, you know, by that theory, we would have had a hurricane in the last 11 years. And, you know, and there's so much we don't know about climate. There's so much science that is not settled yet. You know, the left, you know, tries to convince us that the science is settled. It's not. There's still a lot there's still a lot of people out there who disagree with the narrative.
You know, I think I might be able to hear more about climate change if money wasn't attached to it.
Of course.
And that's the thing, you know? It's like when everyone talks about climate change, it's all about like peaches and lollipops, you know? It's like, oh, we want to make sure our earth is sustainable and it's safe. We can save our earth and our planet and things like that. But what they don't hear, what they don't really talk about is all of the dollars attached to any bill, any treaty, anything that is based on climate change. This is billions, if not trillions of dollars worth of money for every policy point that's created out of climate change. You know, it is redistributing the wealth. It really is. It's allowing poorer countries to take money actually from the richer countries, but the richer countries just have to agree to carbon taxes, you know, where they emit a certain amount of pollution. So a little bit of pollution is okay, but you gotta pay if you want to let more pollution go up into the air. And that does not sound right. And I think if people heard that part of it, they'd have to stop and be like, climate change? I don't know.
And that's a good point. It's not just about the profits, it's about the taxes and the subsidies and all the different things that go along with it. And even our own government has said that all these regulations aren't going to affect the global temperature. And the global temperature has gone up by like a fraction of a degree in the last 15 years. And the climate is always changing. So there's a lot that we don't know. There's a lot that we still need to figure out. So when somebody tells you that we have it all figured out, they're not telling the truth.
Yeah, and even so, Hurricane Matthew ultimately ended up killing more than 200 people in Haiti. That poor country never gets a break.
And one person in Florida, I heard this morning before I came, but it was had a heart problem and they couldn't get to him. So it wasn't direct. It wasn't directly because of the hurricane, but indirectly.
I need to call Mommy and Daddy right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're
Scary,
in Florida. They
scary
were okay
situation.
when I left. So now I'm like, oh no.
Where in Florida are they?
They're near Orlando.
Okay.
So,
Wow.
Yeah. So actually, they're not on the coast. So they weren't supposed to have any problems. But Mom and Dad, which camera am I? Mom and Dad, I love you. I know you're doing okay. I talked to you yesterday, so hopefully you're doing good today. I'm gonna call you in a little bit. I love you. Nathaniel's making the heart sign. I love you. Okay. So I'm gonna call you in a little bit. But I think we're gonna wrap it up there. So we'll go to this camera. That's it for Tammy's Take here on the Crown City Network. By the way, I guess we can zoom out. Sorry. I know you just zoomed into me. Zoom out. Thank you, Andrew Mark Miller.
Thank you.
And by the way, vice presidential debate. Even if Hillary won the presidential debate, I really think that Mike Pence won the VP debate.
And I think Sunday is going to be critical. I think Sunday is critical for Donald Trump.
Yeah, he has nowhere to go but up. I think in the second presidential debate. So okay, that's it for Tammy's Take here. Thank you very much. Appreciate you on the Crown City Network. Tammy's Take is the crossroads of politics and pop culture. I'm Tammy Devine. This has been my take. All the stuff you heard Andrew say, that was Andrew's take. That wasn't my take. But it kind of was my take, too. I agree with Andrew. But all of that was my take. Take it or leave it. I hope you'll take it to heart. Watch us online at crowncitynews.com. And don't forget to watch CCN Sunrise on KVMD Saturdays at 6 a.m., Sundays 5 a.m. Also visit us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. See you next time.